She is the Executive Director for the Indiana Center for Recovery, so if you guys give her a warm welcome.
Hi everyone, can you hear me okay? Okay, good. I've never really had a hard time being heard. So just so you know, I'm very, very nervous. And if I shake or drop the microphone, you know why. Martin Luther King Jr. said, "Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that." I want to be a light, and to do that today, I have to remember my own darkness. I'm eternally grateful that I have a story to tell today, and I know this time with you here today is a gift. I am also terrified. This is the first time that I have shared this story publicly. However, I am no longer ashamed and share my story to provide hope and understanding for others. The first time that I wanted to end my life, I was 11 years old. There was a voice in my head that told me that I didn't deserve to take up space on this planet. At age 13, I was admitted to a psychiatric hospital where I stayed for 45 days during my 7th grade year. I was put on antipsychotic medication for the very first time. I learned what guilt was, and I felt like a burden to my family for the very first time. The first time I got drunk, I was 14. For a minute, the deep sense of pain that I felt subsided, followed by a deep sense of shame. This pattern didn't end until I was 22 years old. The first time I actually attempted to end my life, I was 17. It wasn't long after that that I found pot, alcohol, and prescription drugs could relieve the pain, even if temporarily. At age 19, I had my first manic episode. I didn't sleep, I drove really fast, and I talked even faster. At age 22, in the year 2000, I decided again that my life wasn't worth living. I had been drinking and using drugs for 4 years, and I was headed nowhere. I wasn't going to graduate on time from Indiana University. I had a drunk driving accident, and I fell into a dark place once again. I decided to take 2 bottles of pills and drank a liter of rum. The next day, I woke up in the hospital angry that I was still alive. Little did I know that within 4 short months, I would be admitted to addictions treatment to start my journey of recovery. I would love to tell you that it was rainbows and sunshine after treatment, and it was to a large degree. Entering addiction recovery allowed me to complete my college degree and proceed on to graduate school. It also allowed me to remember my days and nights, and my moods became more manageable. I still struggled with depression, anxiety, and the weight of trauma I had been carrying for years. The periods of stability lasted longer. In 2008, I started dating the man that I dreamed of my entire life, and he loved me for me. I felt anchored for the first time in my life. He also gifted me with a son from his previous marriage who is 17 today. We got married in 2010 and began our lives together. 2010 was also the first year that I lost someone I loved and cared about to suicide. I still grieve to this day for Caitlin Miller. She reminded me of me. By this time, I was gainfully employed as a therapist. I felt useful and loved my career, but depression doesn't care. I slowly found myself drifting deeper and deeper into a depression over the next couple years. During these times, I rarely asked for help. I was ashamed and didn't want people to think I was crazy, because I was a professional after all. In the fall of 2014, I told my husband about my thoughts. He did everything he could, but he couldn't save me, and I couldn't save myself. I hung on for 1 more month until I couldn't. And on February 28th, 2015, I decided to take my life. I ended up in the ICU for 3 days. This time was different. As a result of this episode, I changed. I no longer have to wait to want to die again, and instead I decided to start living. It was time to stop wanting or waiting for my brain to change and to start living. I recovered and I found a treatment plan that works for me. I accept my limitations and I don't hide from pain. I confront it and I look it square in the eyes. Here's what I've learned in my journey that I want to share with you today. I was born with superpowers. In feeling the deepest pain, I am capable of feeling the deepest joy. The pain I can sense in others and the hope I can transmit from my experience, that's my superpower. I am no longer defined by the multiple diagnoses I've been given. There are no more big deals in my life. Facing the dark tunnel of despair and living to tell about it, that's a big deal. I also cannot wait for others to save me. I must want to save myself. I know there are people that love me, and I have to love me too. The doctors, nurses, therapists, case managers, EMTs, and other emergency personnel are on the front lines, and we must provide for their mental health care. We must promote recovery. Last year, 72,000 people lost their lives in the addiction crisis we're facing. 45,000 people lost their lives to suicide. For every 25 suicides, there is one attempt. In 2017, that means that we lost over 100,000 people in the United States to substance use disorder and mental health conditions that are 100% treatable. People get well. People do recover. We just have to hang on and create a world worth living in. Getting up here today took a lot, and I really appreciate your attention. Last year, I avoided Cindy up here, the person who asked me to talk, because I just wasn't ready. What brought me here was the fact that all of you looking at me right now understand, right? You've lost. You've either lost or you've experienced the dark hole that I've been in. Thank you for coming to remember, to celebrate, and to fight suicide. I'm so glad I came, and I know that we're all worth it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jackie, for sharing your story.